Greetings, lovely people, and welcome to Fast Track Thoughts. Today we're going to be covering the final Jodie Whittaker episode of Doctor Who, The Power of the Doctor. So spoilers ahead for that from the beginning, and let's just get into it. So to begin with, I'm just going to say I'm not working from notes like I usually do, because I don't want to have to rewatch this episode, and I always watch the episode the first time without making notes, just so I get everything, I, can enjoy it to its maximum potential. I didn't do that, because I really don't care about Jodie Whittaker's run, and I think that should be obvious from my previous coverage of Jodie Whittaker's run. I have nothing against Jodie herself, I have nothing against any of the cast, honestly. I think the cast have done a really good job. My issue is with Chris Chibnall. And he's gone now. So we can celebrate now, we've got we've got a classic writer coming back now. No. But I don't know. It's a weird ending to a really strange run of Doctor Who. Russell T Davies is gonna be back and hopefully going to fix some of the issues, at least bring it back to a quality standard I think is reasonable. Well, speaking of quality, this episode has some of the worst CGI I've ever seen in Doctor Who, and that's saying something. We've had some terrible CGI over the years. This has a CGI ladder, which looks straight out of like a 2003 video game. It has a lot of just weird visual effects that don't make any sense to me. And then it also has some visual effects of things we've seen before, like hologram technology. Gallifreyan sure specify hologram technology. That is considerably worse than when we've seen it before. So, this episode brought back Tegan and Ace, which is cool. I love Ace. Ace is one of my favourite companions, and I can thoroughly say it didn't ruin either of them. Tegan, I feel like, got treated worse, but also got made out to be way more resentful of the Doctor than I think was necessary. Ace is Ace. Not really changed much. They kept her pretty accurate to how she has been before. They're now working for UNIT, which is very fun. We have UNIT back again, and once again just being collapsed by Cybermen, but it is what it is. The Master and Cybermen are great at just destroying UNIT's hopes and dreams, but yeah, Kate Stewart's back, very cool, love to see her in anything that I can. UNIT in general is just a mess right now, in terms of, at the start of Chibnall's run, he deleted it from existence, and then it got immediately brought back, and, it's only just getting its power back, it's only just becoming a force again. They now have bases around the world, which is good. Or rather, again, they now have bases around the world again. It's a very questionable decision of what Chibnall did with UNIT, but I'm glad they're back in a good way. Kate actually in this episode gets to go in the TARDIS, which is really good. She even questions the how is it big on the inside sort of thing. There's a lot of fun things. Obviously, we have the return of the Cybermasters. I still think this is a stupid name. I still think their entire existence is kind of stupid. We actually find out they can be killed. Like, legitimately. Like, it is possible to kill a Cybermaster, even though they have infinite regenerations. Like, apparently you can just kill them now, which is questionable. Like, they can be knocked out pretty easily. I think they have less, like, armor and defense than, like, your regular Cyberman. Like, they only take a few shots from, like, a plasma pistol, and then they fall. But the regeneration is the important thing, and we see, like, probably, like, half a dozen to a dozen Cybermen just be stopped from regenerating. Which, it's weird enough that they decided to make it... They don't explain, by the way, how either the Master or the Cybermasters actually got off Gallifrey during that old man's suicide bomb. Like, they don't explain how that worked, how they saved themselves, which is... It's very Chibnall. I'll give them that. But yeah, the Master and the Cybermasters managed to escape. As always with like the distant future, Cybermen are just a known fact, and the fact that they're regenerating at this point is just something that people have accepted. They're just like, oh god, they're regenerating, that's regeneration energy, whatever. Like, we can't stay here, we need to move because they're gonna get back up. Which, it's cool whenever we see that part of the future where mankind is just having to deal with just the cyber threat constantly. But yeah, it's there's so much stuff. The Daleks are also in this episode. And we have a renegade Dalek, which we haven't seen in a long time, who's actually trying to, they've fallen out of love, they've betrayed the Dalek cause, they don't believe in it anymore, and they're asking the Doctor for help, basically to give the Doctor information on how to stop the Daleks. It ends up going badly for the Doctor, and for that traitor, who is a legitimate traitor. That traitor wasn't lying, they actually just didn't, like, they'd betrayed their race, they'd betrayed the Daleks, and they got punished for it. They got killed for it. But that entire plotline, it would have worked just as well if it wasn't a real traitor. The fact that it's a real traitor actually brings up more questions than if it had just been a trap, where it was just like it was something to just get the Doctor into place so they could catch her, which is what legitimately happened anyway. But yeah, the Daleks, the Cybermen, and the Master working together. And the Master apparently managed to do it by basically just being like, well, you guys both hate the Doctor, and you probably hate the Doctor more than you hate each other, so why don't you just work together for now? Which was essentially also the idea behind the Alliance. But the Alliance was like every species the Doctor had ever fought, so, I feel like the Master makes a much bigger deal out of this collaboration, and the Doctor does, to be fair, than I think is warranted when we've seen a bigger scale of this same thing. We've seen it with where the Sontarans were involved, and the Solarians were involved, and the Zygons were involved. Like, we've seen it where, like, every major and minor... The Slovene were involved in that one. Like, every major and minor alien species was involved in the Alliance. So, seeing it on this small of a scale by comparison, it's like, well, yeah, this should be a pretty normal thing for Daleks and Cybermen to just be like, we hate the Doctor, this plan will get rid of the Doctor, we might as well work together. I don't know, it seems like such a missed opportunity to have something deeper happen, especially, like, we saw in previous specials, the Daleks just get genocided, the Cybermen get erased from the universe and then brought back as Cybermasters, and then there's just... The Chibnall era should be erased from the canon at this point because it makes no sense at all. There's so little sense. We also see Dan leaves in this episode, which, he had to, but yeah, Dan left after like the first 5 minutes of the episode. He goes. Graham comes back, which was nice to see. I don't know why though they had to bring him back. I don't get it. What else even happened this episode? Ryan's apparently in Ecuador or something. I can't remember where specifically it said, but they said he's off somewhere doing something. Graham's in a volcano, which I don't know how he got there. They don't explain that either. There's so much. This episode, it has some really cool moments, some really interesting stuff. Kate Bishop nearly gets upgraded. We see a lot of people get tortured by Cybermen, which is really unusual. We don't normally see that. The entire opening scene is the Cybermen attacking a train to get a cargo, which appears to be a little girl, but is actually some sort of ancient of the universe, which they're using as a power source. That never gets explained. The Doctor once again is just like, oh, this is something I've never seen before. I didn't think these were real. This is myth, which is all well and good for world building, but it just doesn't work for a story in this context where we're never gonna hear about this creature again. This is the only episode that they're ever going to appear in, I guarantee. I don't know. Chibnall has such a way of trying his hardest to create his own universe, like Russell Davies did, to be fair, and then just doesn't expand on it. He throws elements out into the void, and he's just like, yeah, these exist now. Be happy. It's like, no, that's not how this works. I don't know. It's a confusing mess of an episode. I grew to like the Cybermasters more, and they ended up having it so like the leaders are the ones that have the weird thing about like Gallifreyan like collar. That they're the leader models, and all the rest have the iconography. They have stuff on them. They got rid of the capes completely, which I really like. And yeah, the rank and file, they are still Cybermasters. They have Gallifreyan markings on them, but they are, just regular Cybermen, or the newer version of the regular Cybermen, which is a lot better in my opinion. The Roof Doctor, technically returns, though it's a hologram mental projection sort of thing. What else? I don't really know what else there is to really say specifically. The unit HQ gets destroyed to defeat the Cybermen, and I don't think it actually defeated the Cybermen. I feel like that's another thread that's going to be left unfinished because a building got dropped on a bunch of Cybermen. But I'm pretty sure we saw Cybermen that were still alive under the rubble, or alive as Cybermen are. So I don't think that's the end of that. But it probably is, in terms of we're never going to get a story that continues that. Oh, there's so much. We get the return of, like, every classic Who actor that isn't dead. Which was really nice. I really enjoyed that. And they were all playing the Doctor. They didn't look... Like, there's a few lines to, like, be like, you don't look like what you used to look like, because, they've all aged. Other than McGann, who seems to be timeless. And he also, there's a really funny moment where they're in, like, the Doctor's conscious after she's forced to regenerate into the Master, by the way, which is interesting. I don't really know how that works, but the Master pretends to be the Doctor for a bit, like, actually just transfers himself into the Doctor. Like, it still looks like the Master, but that's just, I don't know. It's a confusing mess. And yeah, the Doctor is just kind of in her mind talking to previous regenerations, which it's so odd that it was only Classic Who. Like, I'm sure Capaldi could have sat on a rock and said a line. I'm sure Smith would have been more than happy just to come in, wear a little cloak, and just be like, it's all important, like, just an offline. Like, I feel like they brought in all the Classic Who just because they're running out of time with them, and I don't mean that in an offensive way. I legitimately mean, like, it's not going to be that long before these Classic Who actors either don't care about coming back, or due to whatever reason just can't. Whether that be retirement from acting, whether that be, unfortunately, potentially death, or whether that be just some other, like, medical reason or something, or potentially, heaven forbid, a controversy that involves them. And I feel like that's why they decided to use the classic Doctors instead of, like, using any of the new Who Doctors. But, like, they could have easily... I'm sure even Eccleston, at this point, would have probably been like, yeah, sure, I'll come in for 5 minutes. Just put me in an outfit and I'll sit on a rock for 5 minutes and talk. That's fine. Because that's all it was. And yeah, Sylvester McCoy got a few lines towards Ace. The other one got lines towards Tegan. I forgot his name. That's going to annoy me. But yeah, there's so many nostalgia grabs in this episode that don't seem to actually have worked. Like, even me as someone who's a huge fan of Doctor Who in general, Ace was, like, the only thing that I was like, this is great. I love this. Like, having Ace back and it just being Ace is great. But everything else that they did in this episode that was for nostalgia's sake, other than there is right at the end, actually, there's two things that happened right at the end which did actually legitimately excite me. One of them was when the Doctor is getting ready to regenerate because, yeah, she gets shot by the Master again. And her and Yaz go and get ice cream, sitting on the TARDIS, having a last chat. And the Doctor's like, yeah, no, I need to be alone for this. I need to, I can't be, I need to just regenerate alone. So she sends Yaz off. Yaz, I feel like Yaz, if of all the companions this run, has the best chance of returning in some way, maybe as like a Martha type character. But yeah, I think the long and short of it is very much the Doctor just didn't want to lose, like, herself to Yaz, sort of thing. And, yeah, sent her away. Yaz then meets up with Graham and Dan, and they go to a Doctors Anonymous meeting with a bunch of various people from both Classic and New Who, both companions as well as I think it's mostly companions. I think there is some side characters though as well. And yeah, I assume Graham has set it up. There's now just some sort of, like, in London, like a group meeting that is probably like once a month, where companions and those who have, travelled or, interacted with the Doctor in a major way are able to just come and meet up and just chat and just talk about their trauma, essentially, everything else, and just, I think that's a really good touch. That really excited me. Ian, the old companion, was there, which was really fun. I can never remember the name. The companion with, the companion that was in Sarah Jane Adventures from time to time. She met Matt Smith and stuff. She was there, which was really fun. I really love seeing her. Just seeing companions that didn't die in story, that are still alive now, that the actors are still alive now, is always fun. I really enjoy that. So that was a nice. That was actually a nostalgia touch that I enjoyed. I hope if anything that stays in the series. I hope every once in a while we just have a companion go to this Doctors Anonymous sort of thing. That'd be really fun. And then, of course, the big twist, the big reveal right at the end. 13, Jodie Whittaker regenerates into David Tennant. David Tennant is apparently the 14th Doctor, and we did know this for a while. He's getting a free special run, and then he's going to regenerate into, I can't remember his name, but the guy from Sex Education. I'm really sorry, I do not, I don't want to pronounce it wrong either. It's like Takuti or something, his first name. I can't properly remember. But, yeah, for now, for the next 3 episodes, 3 specials even, it's going to be Tennant, which is interesting. I'm very excited to see what happens with that. It's really weird. The regeneration actually changes the clothing, which is really, really odd. It's something that we've never seen before, so that's weird. And yeah, of course, we get a Tennant what to finish off the episode. And honestly, I think that was the best way to set this up, where it's just yet another confusing moment for the 10th Doctor, which he's technically, if we're talking literal numbers, he's the 10th, 11th, and 16th Doctor, because he had regeneration. Oh, I know he's actually the 11th. Oh boy, that is a confusing thing. He had the 11th total regeneration, ignoring all the mystery Doctors, because he regenerated twice during his run, and then he's now the Doctor again. Tennant really just wants to be the longest running Doctor to ever exist, doesn't he? He never wants to be beaten. He just wants to be the longest running Doctor. But yeah, Tennant's back. Russell T Davies is back. I'm very excited for that. I hope I'm not disappointed. If I'm disappointed, I may just give up on Doctor Who completely, because Tennant is one of my favourite Doctors, and Russell T Davies has written some of my favourite episodes. I just hope it works out, but honestly, I don't know at this point. It could go anyway, but in any case, that is really everything I have for all my rantings and ramblings about this episode, The Power of the Doctor, the final regeneration episode for Jodie Whittaker, and yeah, it was fine. It was fine. I enjoyed it. In the vaguest sense, I enjoyed it. I don't know. It's probably not an episode I'm going to watch again. The more I've spoken about it in this video, the more I'm like, actually, it was actually decent. But watching it, I didn't feel like that. I felt like, other than Ace, Unit was cool. Cybermen, some of the action was interesting. Daleks, some of the action was interesting. Overall, Vinda came up as well. Whatever, I'm not getting into that. That's another thing. But yeah, in any case, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like it, subscribe if you're new to it, and ring that bell so you never miss an upload. Otherwise, that's going to be it from me. And yeah. Bye.
It's been a long week. I feel like I could use a vacation. I can hardly think. It's like the worst song you've ever heard on every station.